I would now request Mr. Anoop Hoon, Chairperson, Marketing and Brand Committee of the Bengal Chamber, to set the context of the program.
Good morning. Uh, Welcome from the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and more particularly the Brand and Marketing Committee. First of all, let me thank all the speakers who have agreed to come. Some of them have traveled from outstation. Saturdays are always challenging. There are family commitments. It's the workspace balance that you talk about. So we have disturbed it to an extent. But I hope at the end of the day, you benefited enough so that the equation or the balance sheet looks fairly okay. I must thank Arnob for having said all that I should have said. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start with two experiences, because I think the biggest learner is that. Many years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, my wife used to, have these videos on YouTube videos and looking at recipes from Ranveer Barar. Somehow I'm a foodie. I look like one. Also, I like to know the history of food and how it evolved and all that goes behind it. So slowly I got hooked on to Ranveer Barar myself. And what we classically call, I became a follower. But I'm one among the 4.5 million followers that he has. So one of the latest videos at that point in time, one day I switched it on to see it. And somewhere down the line, while it's a cook show, so he's looking for coriander. And he says, oh God, I've run out of coriander. Oh, don't worry, I'll just get it. And then, he calls for it and says, it's going to be here in 9 minutes. And cut 2 frames. And there is this man from Swiggy, Instamart, holding the coriander. And Ranveer says, wow, 9 minutes precisely. And it's fresh. From that day on till today, right, we use Instamart. Because I trusted the influencer. I trust what Ranveer says. I'm a follower of his. Okay. So if you look at a service which is being promoted by him, it is by faith in the influencer which made me decide. Let me give you a second one which is there. So this is about 2 years ago, maybe a little more than that. Watching television, and I see this Century laminates from Century Ply, and I see Manish Malhotra, and I say, hang on, what is he doing here? And then the tagline reads, fashion for your furniture. I said, really? Does it work like that? A few moments later, I go into my bedroom. I look at my almaras, which I've been very proud of because they were pure teak wood, and I used to boast about the kind of teak wood I bought. And I keep looking at the almaras and said, are they in fashion? And for a moment, I realized Manish Malhotra had actually done something to me. So that's how influencers work. 90% of us sitting in this room who are associated with marketing realize that we do need these influencers. Way back, when I began my career, I began in the paint industry, so the painter was the influencer that you really talked about. But that's been a 50-year-old journey, and see how it has all evolved. Today, it is a strategic input, a need of the hour, and I think all brands, products and services need to recognize and do recognize the role of influencers. It is that trust which the brand leverages, right, to resonate with the audience, right? And it is that trust which moves the target audience or the follower to look at your brand, right? So they have a huge role to play. So all of a sudden, a few years ago, people started talking about content creators. We have a few of them here with us today. And you realize the kind of role that they've begun to play. Then the consumption of content, it has changed. And consumer behavior has also changed similarly, right? We used to talk about the knowledge era and now into the data era. I think all of us get to recognize that our own behaviors as consumers keep changing, right? So when I look back as to how I would have bought something maybe 10 years ago to how I bought it 2 years ago and what I would be doing today, are going to be dramatically different things, right? So the day is intended really for the marketing professional to actually understand this whole dynamics of influencers. The way we've set this program today. So we have somebody who opens it out for you, who handles brands, and across a platform of medias, all right, works for brands to communicate, build their brand positions, etc. We then have a session which is very interesting because, building influencer equity. People talk about brand equity, okay, but there's something called building influencer equity, okay, and it's the theory of reverse obligation. So if I build your equity, I'm scratching your back, right? The least I can expect from you is scratch mine also, right? But that's how it works. And while that will be shared, it's indeed something which is going a long, long way. And a number of brands are doing that. We then have a very exciting session. We have content creators and we have somebody from the OTT platforms, right? In a panel discussion. After that, we have a session which actually takes you a journey for somebody who's actually experienced influencer marketing in the consumer space, in FMCG, in fashion, and then on to paints. So, when he actually talks, you'll realize how the consumer is behaving and responding, because he does use paints, he does get involved in fashion, and he is an FMCG consumer. So, okay. We then come to a panel which is from the brand point of view. So let's look at how brands are handling it, and that's where most of us would be sitting. I'm sure there will be a lot of gain to the individual who actually wants to look at influencer marketing in that positive space and how it is going to evolve and what it is going to hold in the future. Shonali has told you about, all the excitement about your participation. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the day. And thank you very much, the audience, for being here with us. And it's your coming here which encourages us. 14 years have gone and many more to come. Thank you very much.